Every problem looks bigger when you stare at it too long. Most people get stuck there, inside the noise, inside the fear, inside the worry. But the people who rise above it, they focus on solutions. This book will teach you how to shift your focus, retrain your mind, and find answers where others only see obstacles. Stay till the end, because if you can learn to see differently, you can live differently. And don't forget to subscribe. Your journey to a solution-focused life starts here. Chapter 1. The Shift in Perspective. Every solution begins in the mind. Every problem does too. What separates the successful from the stuck isn't intelligence, it's perspective. Most people live reacting to what happens to them. They see the problem first, they talk about it, they worry about it, and before they know it, the problem becomes their focus, their identity, their story. But the moment you shift your focus, the moment you stop asking why me, and start asking what now, everything changes. Perspective is the lens that shapes reality. It decides how heavy something feels, how long it lasts, and how far you'll go beyond it. The same event can destroy one person and strengthen another. The difference isn't in what happened, it's in how they saw it. Your life moves in the direction of your focus. If you keep looking at problems, you'll find more of them. If you train yourself to look for solutions, your mind starts creating paths you couldn't see before. It's not magic, it's focus. The human brain is wired to find what it searches for. If you wake up thinking about stress, you'll notice stress everywhere. If you wake up searching for possibilities, you'll see opportunities hiding in plain sight. That's the power of perspective. It changes nothing and everything at the same time. Most people don't realize it, but every thought is a choice, and every choice builds your mindset brick by brick. When you choose to think solution first, you teach your brain resilience. You reprogram your emotions from panic to purpose, and suddenly, the world that once looked hard starts to look manageable. The greatest leaders, innovators, and creators, they all have one thing in common. They refuse to be victims of problems. They might feel the pressure, but they never stay stuck in it. They look forward. They act forward. They think forward. Problems are not meant to stop you. They're meant to stretch you. They're not barriers. They're mirrors that show what still needs strength inside you. When you change your perspective, you stop seeing the problem as the end. You start seeing it as an instruction. Every obstacle is telling you something. Every delay is teaching you patience. Every challenge is building your foundation for the next level. But you can't hear that message when your mind is filled with noise. To shift perspective, you have to slow down. You have to step back from emotion and step into awareness. Emotions blur vision. Awareness clears it. When something goes wrong, your first reaction is pain. But your second reaction, that's where power lives. It's that moment you decide, I can either stay angry or I can grow from this. That decision determines your future. People think strength means never falling apart. But real strength is in how fast you rebuild after falling. It's the mindset that whispers, this isn't the end, it's a lesson. Perspective doesn't change what happened. It changes what happens next. When you focus on the solution, your energy rises. Your creativity wakes up. Your brain starts working for you, not against you. You start to see options where there were none. You start to feel lighter, even in the same situation. Because solutions bring movement, and problems keep you still. A stagnant mind breeds frustration. A moving mind breeds freedom. The truth is, life will never stop sending problems, but you can stop letting them define you. The real mastery is not in avoiding problems, it's in outgrowing them. Every time you face something difficult, you have two choices. You can shrink, or you can shift. Shrinking makes the world smaller. Shifting makes your mind stronger. The mind that looks for solutions becomes unstoppable. It doesn't deny pain, it directs it. It doesn't avoid failure, it learns from it. It doesn't wait for peace. It creates it. And once you taste that power, you never go back. You begin to live lighter. You begin to think clearer. You begin to solve faster. Because now, you understand that problems don't define the day. Perspective does. And the person who learns to shift their perspective has already solved half of life's problems. Chapter 2. The power of positive focus. Your focus is your filter. It shapes what you see, what you feel, and what you believe is possible. Every single day, you choose what part of the world to look at, and that choice decides everything that follows. Most people live scanning for problems. They see what's missing instead of what's present. They count what's wrong instead of what's right. And slowly, their mind becomes addicted to negativity. It's not their fault. It's training. The mind learns to repeat what you feed it. If you feed it worry, it finds more to worry about. If you feed it gratitude, it finds more to be thankful for. That's the power of focus. It multiplies whatever it touches. Positive focus isn't ignoring reality. It's choosing to see possibility inside it. You can acknowledge pain without surrendering to it. You can recognize the storm without living in fear of it. A positive focus doesn't mean you pretend everything is perfect. It means you believe everything can be improved. When you train your mind to focus on solutions, you begin to notice how energy shifts. You stop draining yourself with why me, and start empowering yourself with what's next. This is not motivational fluff. It's mental discipline. Your mind is like a spotlight. Where you aim it, that's where life grows. If you shine it on problems, they grow larger. If you shine it on solutions, they start to take shape. Every successful person you admire, they've mastered this art of attention. They've learned how to protect their focus like treasure, because focus is fuel. And if you spend it on the wrong things, you'll run out before you reach your goal. When you focus on positive outcomes, you train your nervous system to calm down. Your breathing steadies. Your decisions sharpen. Your confidence rises. That's biology, not luck. Positive focus clears the fog of fear. It helps you see through the problem, instead of being trapped inside it. And once you see through it, you realize most problems are not permanent. They're just puzzles waiting for clarity. The key is consistency. You can't think positive once and expect change. You have to live in it, breathe it, practice it. Every time your mind drifts to fear, gently bring it back to strength. Every time you start to worry, pause and ask, what can I do right now that moves me forward? That single shift, from worry to action, creates movement, and movement dissolves fear. Positivity isn't the absence of pain. It's the presence of direction. It's knowing that no matter how hard things get, you still have power over your perspective. The world outside may not change overnight, but your inner world can, in an instant. That's where solutions are born. When your inner focus turns positive, you stop waiting for better days. You start creating them. And the moment you take that responsibility, you become unstoppable. People will notice it too. Your energy changes. Your tone changes. Your presence begins to lift others instead of drain them. That's the silent influence of positive focus. It's not loud. It's not forced. It's steady, gentle, magnetic. It doesn't mean you never get tired. It means you know how to reset. It means you've learned to pause and remind yourself, I've been through worse. I can handle this too. Positive focus builds resilience. It's what keeps you grounded when life shakes. It's what makes you smile when others complain. And it's what helps you move forward when others stop trying. To live with positive focus, you must protect your mental space like sacred ground. Don't let every negative voice rent space in your head. You don't owe attention to everything that demands it. Choose your focus with intention. Feed your thoughts with gratitude. Surround yourself with people who push you higher. And keep reminding yourself that your energy is too valuable to waste. Your focus is your greatest currency. Spend it wisely. Because whatever you focus on, you invite into your life. So, choose peace over panic. Choose purpose over problems. Choose growth over gossip. Every time you choose positivity, you strengthen your emotional muscles. You become harder to shake, slower to react, faster to recover. You begin to see how much power you truly hold. And when life throws challenges at you, you don't collapse. You adjust. You breathe. You center yourself. And you ask, what's the next right step? That's the mindset of solution-focused living. It's not about perfection. It's about perspective. When you master the power of positive focus, you become the calm inside the chaos. You stop living from reaction and start living from intention. And that's when life begins to move differently. You attract better situations. You notice better opportunities. You connect with better people. Not because life got easier, but because your focus did. Chapter 3. How to reprogram your mind for solutions. Your mind is not your enemy. It's your greatest tool. But most people don't know how to use it. They live reacting instead of creating. They let their thoughts run wild instead of directing them. If you want to live a solution-focused life, you have to reprogram your mind. Because the way you think determines what you see, and what you see decides how you live. Your brain is designed to protect you, not to grow you. It looks for danger, not opportunity. It's wired for survival, not success. That's why your first thought in a challenge is often fear. What if I fail? What if this doesn't work? What if it gets worse? That's not weakness, it's biology. But biology can be trained. Your brain learns from repetition. Whatever you feed it daily becomes its truth. If you repeat fear, it becomes your reflex. If you repeat confidence, it becomes your foundation. That's how mental reprogramming begins, by choosing what to repeat. Thoughts are not random, they're habits, and habits can be replaced. Start by noticing your mental patterns. What do you think about when things go wrong? Do you fall into blame? Or do you search for clarity? Do you freeze in fear? Or do you move toward solutions? Awareness is the first switch. You can't reprogram what you won't observe. Once you notice your thoughts, you can redirect them. Every time your mind says, "This is too hard," you respond, "There's a way, I'll find it." Every time your thoughts whisper, "I can't handle this," you remind yourself, "I've handled worse." This isn't pretending. This is training. You're teaching your brain to see possibility, to find paths instead of walls. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself through practice. What you think repeatedly, you strengthen. So, when you repeatedly focus on solutions, you literally build new pathways in your mind. Pathways of calm, pathways of confidence, pathways of control. Slowly, your default changes. Fear stops leading. Focus starts guiding. That's mental reprogramming, repetition with awareness. When your mind panics, pause, breathe, shift your inner language. Instead of, "I don't know what to do," say, "There must be a way, let's find it." Instead of, "This always happens to me," say, "This is happening for me, to make me stronger." Language is software. Your brain is hardware. The words you use install the mindset you live in. You can't live a solution-focused life with a problem-focused vocabulary. So pay attention to how you speak to yourself. Your self-talk is programming in motion. Every "I can't" becomes a command. Every "I can" becomes permission. The mind believes what it hears most often. Feed it belief, and belief becomes normal. Feed it doubt, and doubt becomes default. You don't have to feel positive to think positive. You just have to start practicing it. Feelings follow focus. Reprogramming your mind isn't about forcing positivity. It's about teaching your brain how to stay calm under pressure. When you get stuck in fear, the rational part of your brain shuts down. But when you breathe deeply and focus on solutions, your brain reopens. It starts thinking again. That's why calm people make better decisions. They keep access to clarity, and clarity always creates movement. To reprogram your mind, you must also control your environment. What you surround yourself with becomes what you think. If you spend time around negativity, your thoughts turn heavy. If you surround yourself with growth, your mind expands naturally. Protect your mental space like sacred ground. Filter what you consume, not just food, but content, conversations, and company. What you watch, what you listen to, who you talk to, all of it feeds your programming. If you want to think differently, live differently. Don't expect your mindset to grow if your environment keeps it small. Every time you wake up, you have two options: feed the problem or feed the solution. Start your day with intention. 1 minute of positive focus in the morning can reset your brain for the whole day. Tell yourself, I'm ready, I'm capable, I can handle what comes. Even if you don't fully believe it yet, say it anyway. Your brain learns through sound. It takes your voice as truth. Over time, those words become anchors. They guide your thoughts when chaos tries to take over. And when old patterns try to return, you'll catch them faster. You'll smile and say, no, not this time. I've learnt better. That's the sign your reprogramming is working. You're no longer living by reaction. You're living by design. And here's the beauty of it. When you train your mind to find solutions, you begin to notice opportunities everywhere. Your intuition sharpens. Your energy feels lighter. Your decisions become faster. You no longer panic in uncertainty. You adapt. You flow. You move forward. Your old self will still whisper sometimes. It will try to pull you back to comfort. But comfort never created change. Reprogramming requires repetition through discomfort. That's how growth hardens into habit. Every time you choose to think forward instead of backward, you're carving a new neural road inside your brain. And that road leads to peace, confidence, and power. This is what solution-focused thinking looks like in real life. Not pretending everything's fine, but knowing you'll be fine, no matter what happens. You can't stop the waves, but you can teach your mind how to surf. The world outside will always have noise, but once your mind learns the rhythm of calm focus, you carry silence within, and that silence becomes your strength. You start responding from clarity instead of chaos. You stop letting problems define your worth. You start measuring life, not by what went wrong, but by what you built from it. That's how reprogramming works. It turns pain into perspective, and perspective into peace. The process is slow, but the results are permanent. One day, you'll face something that once scared you, and you'll feel nothing but confidence. You'll smile quietly and realize, I've changed. My mind is on my side now, and that's when you know you've won. Because the person who controls their mind controls their world. Chapter 4. Turning challenges into opportunities. Every challenge carries a message. Every struggle hides a seed. The difference between success and failure isn't what happens, it's what you do with what happens. Most people see challenges as walls. They stop, they worry, they complain, they wait for the wall to disappear. But the wall was never meant to stop you. It was meant to make you climb higher. Life uses problems to introduce you to your potential. You don't know how strong you are until strength is your only option. Every setback, every delay, every detour, they all carry a purpose beneath the pain. If you can look beyond frustration, you'll find direction. When something breaks your rhythm, it's not punishment, it's preparation. You were not meant to live problem-free. You were meant to become problem-proof. Challenges are not curses. They're invitations. Invitations to grow, to think differently, to lead yourself better. When you start to see them that way, everything begins to shift. The truth is simple. Messy roads don't build strong travelers. Comfort never creates character. Every person you admire was forged in difficulty. Their strength came from struggle. Their wisdom came from mistakes. Their confidence came from surviving what should have broken them. And yours will too. The challenge you face right now might feel like a wall, but if you change your focus, you'll see it's actually a doorway. It's showing you something new, a part of yourself you haven't used yet. Sometimes life blocks one path, just to show you another one. When you hit resistance, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? That single question changes the energy. It moves you from victim to visionary. Victims see problems. Visionaries see possibilities. Problems are the universe's way of testing your readiness. Every challenge asks you one thing. Are you ready to handle more? If you quit, you stay small. If you grow through it, you level up. Every problem carries a reward, but only those who persist long enough ever receive it. When you stop running from challenges, you start mastering them. And that mastery gives you something rare, unshakable confidence. Because you know, no matter what happens, you'll find a way. That belief is priceless. Think about it. The greatest breakthroughs in history came from the hardest moments. When people were pushed to the edge, they found innovation. When systems collapsed, new ideas were born. When everything went wrong, someone chose to think differently. That's how the world moves forward, not by avoiding challenges, but by transforming them. Your personal life is no different. When something goes wrong, you have two choices: react or respond. Reaction is emotional. Response is intentional. The emotional mind says, "This is unfair." The intentional mind says, "This is uncomfortable, but it's teaching me something." That's how growth happens, through discomfort, turned into discovery. You see, pain by itself doesn't build you. It's what you do with pain that does. Pain can either break your spirit or shape your strength. It depends on how you interpret it. Every time you face resistance, you're being trained. Trained for patience, trained for precision, trained for perspective. And every time you overcome it, you become a little more unstoppable. But most people don't realize that growth feels like chaos while it's happening. That's why they give up too soon. They confuse pressure with punishment. But pressure is proof that progress is forming. No diamond forms without pressure. No strength develops without resistance. No wisdom grows without mistakes. The challenge you're in right now might just be the thing that's shaping your next version. It's uncomfortable, but so is transformation. Your job is not to avoid the storm. Your job is to walk through it with awareness, because the rain that soaks you today might be the same rain that grows your future tomorrow. To turn challenges into opportunities, you must first change the way you define them. Stop calling everything bad. Start calling it useful. Even heartbreak teaches compassion. Even failure teaches clarity. Even loss teaches appreciation. Life is not happening against you. It's happening for you, to shape you, to stretch you, to show you what's inside you. When you realize that, you stop fearing problems. You start expecting growth. You start to understand that challenges are part of the journey.
Not interruptions.
But instructions. When something gets hard, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it. Study it. Ask it questions. What is this moment trying to teach me? What strength is this difficulty asking me to develop? That's how awareness turns into wisdom. And wisdom turns pain into power. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. That's what opportunity really means. Control through adaptation. Challenges are not there to destroy you. They're there to expose your potential. They show you what's weak, so you can make it strong. They show you where you hesitate, so you can learn to act. Every great story of success started with something that looked like a problem. It's the perspective that changes the outcome. When something doesn't go your way, remember, it might be going the right way, just not the way you expected. Opportunity often hides in disguise, sometimes behind frustration, sometimes behind rejection, sometimes behind a closed door. But if you keep looking with a solution-focused eye, you'll find the opening. You'll find the one move that shifts everything. Because there's always a move, there's always a next step, a new direction, a fresh angle. The problem is never final. The mindset is. And when your mindset stays open, the world stays open too. That's what it means to turn challenges into opportunities. Not magic, just perspective. Not luck, just patience. Not fear, but faith that whatever happens, you'll find your way through. And when you do, you'll look back and realize the challenge wasn't an obstacle at all. It was the exact thing that built you into who you were meant to become. Chapter 5. Building a solution-oriented mindset. A problem-focused mind reacts. A solution-focused mind responds. That's the difference between chaos and clarity, between being stuck and moving forward. Your mindset decides which one you live in. A solution-oriented mindset is not something you're born with. It's something you build, brick by brick, choice by choice, thought by thought. It's a habit of thinking that takes time, patience, and awareness. But once you build it, your life changes from the inside out. Because when your mind learns to look for answers instead of excuses, everything starts to flow. You stop wasting energy on what you can't control. You start investing it in what you can change. That's power. That's peace. A solution-oriented mindset doesn't ignore problems. It just refuses to live inside them. It looks at every difficulty and asks one question. What can I do right now that moves me forward? Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. That single question rewires your thinking. It replaces panic with purpose. It silences noise with direction. And the more you practice it, the faster your mind learns to shift from fear to focus. This is where emotional intelligence meets practical thinking. It's not about staying positive all the time. It's about staying productive in every situation. Even when things go wrong, you don't collapse. You adapt. That's the mark of a strong mindset. Every time you face something challenging, your brain has two paths. The path of reaction and the path of response. Reaction is emotional, fast, loud, impulsive. Response is intentional, calm, clear, creative. You can train your brain to choose the second path. That's what it means to build a solution-oriented mind. Start by paying attention to your language, because how you speak reveals how you think. People who live in problems say, "This always happens to me. This is impossible. I don't have a choice." People who live in solutions say, "This is hard, but I can handle it. There must be another way. What's the next step?" See the difference? Same world, different words. Language is the code of your mindset. If you change the words,
You change the wiring.
that's how reprogramming happens. Not overnight, but over effort. Every time you catch yourself spiraling into complaint, pause. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do right now to improve this? The moment you ask that, your focus shifts. Your energy lifts. Your brain starts working with you, not against you. That's the beginning of transformation. Building a solution-oriented mindset also means accepting that life will not always be fair. It will not always be easy, but it will always be an opportunity. You can't choose what happens, but you can always choose how you handle it. And that choice builds your mindset more than anything else. When you choose patience over panic, you build mental strength. When you choose responsibility over blame, you build character. When you choose direction over distraction, you build discipline. These small choices form your identity. And soon, you become the kind of person who doesn't wait for miracles, you create them. A solution-oriented person sees the same problems everyone else does, but reacts differently. They stay calm when others complain. They think when others freeze. They act when others argue. They move forward, quietly and confidently. That's what makes them unstoppable. You see, solutions don't always appear instantly. Sometimes they unfold through persistence. Sometimes they show up after you fail twice. Sometimes they reveal themselves only when you keep moving forward despite the confusion. But they always show up. A solution-oriented mind trusts the truth. It believes every challenge contains a way through. You just have to keep looking long enough to find it. Patience is part of problem solving. It gives space for ideas to breathe. It lets intuition speak. When you rush, you panic. When you pause, you perceive. And perception is where answers hide. That's why calmness is not weakness, it's wisdom. Calm minds see what chaotic minds miss. When you stay calm, you can connect dots that others can't even see. You start noticing patterns, possibilities, and creative angles that were invisible before. That's what happens when your focus is trained on solutions. The world opens up. Building this mindset also means embracing mistakes as part of learning. Every wrong turn sharpens your direction. Every failure deepens your understanding. You can't master solutions without making errors. You can't innovate without imperfection. People who fear mistakes never grow. They live safe, but small. A solution-oriented person uses mistakes like mirrors, not to feel shame, but to gain insight. Every wrong answer teaches you what's closer to right. Every setback sharpens your next move. And over time, you stop fearing failure altogether, because you understand that even if you fall, yes, you'll rise smarter. That's the confidence of a trained mind. Another part of building a solution-oriented mindset is surrounding yourself with the right people. You can't think higher if everyone around you complains lower. Energy is contagious. Mindset spread. If you spend your days around negativity, you'll start echoing it. But if you stay close to people who talk about growth, your thinking begins to stretch. So protect your circle. Guard your energy. Choose conversations that build, not break. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You just need to keep your focus aligned with progress. Because every word you hear is a seed your brain absorbs. Make sure it's planting strength, not fear. Over time, you'll notice something powerful. Your emotional recovery gets faster. You don't stay stuck in problems as long. You bounce back with more clarity. You'll start to see that life's challenges don't get easier. You just get better at handling them. That's mastery. A solution-oriented mindset doesn't mean you never feel frustration. It means you don't stay there. You still feel the weight of the world sometimes. But instead of collapsing under it, you adjust your stance. You breathe deeper. You think wider. You move forward. That's what strength really is. Not perfection, but persistence. It's waking up every day with the decision to try again. It's looking at problems not as punishment, but as preparation. And as you build this mindset, you start realizing you were never powerless. You were just unfocused. The moment your focus shifted, so did your reality. Because the world doesn't change until your perspective does. And the person who learns to see every problem as a stepping stone becomes unstoppable in any environment. That's what this chapter is about. Not waiting for easy days, but becoming stronger for the hard ones. You can build this mindset. You can train it. You can live it. It starts small. A thought, a breath, a better question. And with every repetition, you create a new version of yourself. The kind who doesn't fear problems anymore, because you've learned how to think beyond them. That's how solutions are born, inside a mind that refuses to quit. Chapter 6. The Habit of Taking Action. Action is the bridge between intention and reality. It's the gap between who you are and who you can become. Everyone wants change. Few are willing to move toward it. Most people think too much, plan too much, then wait too long. They want everything perfect before they begin. They want confidence before they act. But confidence doesn't come first. Action does. You build confidence by moving, not by thinking. You build progress by doing, not by dreaming. A solution-oriented life begins where hesitation ends, because no problem ever gets solved in your head. It gets solved in motion. The habit of taking action is not about rushing. It's about responding. It's about refusing to let fear paralyze you. When something needs to be done, you don't overanalyze it. You step forward. Even small steps count. Even slow steps move you closer than standing still ever will. The truth is, your mind will always find reasons to delay. It will whisper, "It's not the right time. It's too risky. What if it doesn't work?" But those thoughts don't protect you, they trap you. And the longer you wait, the heavier the fear becomes. Action breaks that weight. Action silences doubt. Action gives your mind something to focus on, other than worry. Because once you're in motion, fear has no time to grow. Movement builds momentum, and momentum builds mastery. You don't have to see the entire path, just the next step. That's how every great achievement begins. People who focus on problems talk about what's wrong. People who focus on solutions do something about it. It's easy to stay busy thinking. It's harder to commit to movement. But thinking without action is like reading about swimming and never touching the water. You only learn through experience. You only grow through practice. And the moment you act, you turn potential into power. Every time you take action, you train your brain to believe in possibility. You prove to yourself that you can move forward, even when the path isn't clear. That's how you build inner strength, by acting despite uncertainty. The habit of taking action starts small. One decision, one move, one moment of courage. You don't have to transform everything at once. You just have to take the next right step. Action compounds like interest. Tiny steps repeated daily build unstoppable momentum over time. And before you know it, you're standing in places you once only imagined. The world rewards action, not intention. No one remembers what you plan to do. They remember what you did. And here's the truth. Every idea you don't act on dies in your hesitation. You don't need motivation to begin. You need movement. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. The moment you take a step, energy appears, focus returns, confidence grows, because your brain loves evidence. And every small success becomes proof that you are capable. You start trusting yourself again. That's what consistency does. It replaces doubt with data. It teaches your mind that progress is possible, because you're proving it every day. Action also creates clarity. Most people wait to feel ready before they start. But readiness doesn't come before action. It comes from it. You don't know what works until you try. You don't know how strong you are until you push. You don't know how close you are until you take one more step. That's why the habit of taking action is the foundation of every solution. You can't think your way out of a hole. You have to climb. And climbing takes courage, even when you're scared. Every time you act, despite fear, you weaken its power over you. You remind your mind that you're in control, not your emotion. You become a leader of your own life, not a prisoner of hesitation. The more you act, the less you overthink. The less you overthink, the more you accomplish. It's a cycle. And once you get it moving, it changes everything. A solution-oriented person doesn't just hope things will get better. They make them better through decisions and discipline. They understand that success is built on movement, not magic. Every great breakthrough in your life will begin with a moment of action. One phone call, one message, one brave choice. That's how transformation starts. The secret to maintaining the habit of taking action is removing perfectionism from your process. Perfection kills progress. Don't aim to get it right. Aim to get it going. You can fix, improve, and refine later, but you can't improve what doesn't exist. Taking imperfect action is better than taking no action at all. Progress is messy. Growth is uncomfortable. But both are signs that you're moving in the right direction. That's how solution-minded people think. They understand that mistakes aren't failures. They're feedback. Every attempt teaches you something the plan never could. Every setback refines your next move. And the more you act, the faster you learn what works. It's how entrepreneurs build empires. It's how leaders earn trust. It's how ordinary people create extraordinary results. They just keep taking action, again and again, until success has no choice but to show up. You don't need luck. You need consistency. And consistency comes from habit. That's why this chapter isn't just about acting once. It's about living in action, waking up and doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. That's discipline. And discipline is the purest form of self-respect. It's saying to yourself, my goals are worth my effort. When you live that way, you stop waiting for opportunity. You start creating it. Your energy changes. People start trusting your word. Your actions start aligning with your vision. And soon, life starts meeting you halfway, because the universe rewards movement. It gives more to those who show they're ready. So stop waiting for perfect timing. There isn't any. Stop waiting for permission. You already have it. Start, move, build, act. Even if it's small, even if it is shaky, it still counts. Because movement today is momentum tomorrow. And momentum, once it starts, is unstoppable. So take the first step, then take the next, and keep taking them, until motion becomes your nature, and progress becomes your peace. That's the power of action. That's the habit that builds solution-focused lives. Chapter 7. Developing Mental Resilience. Strength doesn't come from comfort. It comes from struggle. Resilience is not about avoiding pain. It's about learning how to stand through it. Life will always test you. Not once, not twice, but again and again, until your strength becomes steady. And when you stop breaking, you start becoming. Mental resilience is the ability to recover faster, to rise wiser, to respond calmer. It's what separates people who quit from people who grow. You can't control what hits you, but you can always control how you react. That's the beginning of strength, the quiet control inside chaos. Resilience isn't a gift. It's a muscle, and like every muscle, it grows only through resistance. The more you face, the stronger you get. If you choose to learn, pain is not your enemy. It's your personal trainer. Every hard moment is shaping your endurance, teaching you patience, deepening your wisdom. But most people run away from pain. They see it as something to escape instead of something to understand. You can't build mental strength while hiding from pressure. You build it by walking through it, slowly, intentionally, consciously. Every time you survive something you thought would break you, you grow a little more unshakable. Resilience starts in your thoughts, because your mind is the battlefield before the world ever is. If you lose inside your mind, you lose everywhere. If you stay calm inside your mind, you stay in control everywhere. Your thoughts decide whether a situation destroys you or develops you. A resilient person doesn't deny reality. They accept it fully, and then decide what to do next. Acceptance is the root of resilience. It's saying, this happened, I can't change it, but I can change what it means. That's where your power lives, in meaning. When something painful happens, your first reaction is emotion. Your second reaction is choice. Do you replay the pain, or do you rebuild from it? Resilience is in the second reaction. It's the moment you stop asking, why me, and start saying, what now? It's the moment you realize you may not control the storm, but you can learn how to sail through it. The resilient mind focuses on stability, not sympathy. It doesn't look for someone to blame. It looks for something to build. It doesn't see endings as loss. It sees them as redirection. Resilience turns pain into perspective. It turns problems into preparation. It turns struggle into strength. The secret is not toughness, it's flexibility. A tree that refuses to bend breaks in the wind, but a tree that bends survives the storm. The same is true for you. You don't have to be hard to be strong. You have to be adaptable. Resilience is not rigidity, it's recovery. You might fall. You might feel broken. You might cry in silence. But when you rise again, you rise wiser. That's resilience. The quiet comeback no one sees, but everyone feels. You develop resilience by allowing pain to teach, not torture, by listening instead of resisting, by learning instead of escaping. Every time you face something hard and choose to grow from it, your mind rewires itself for strength. You start trusting yourself again. You start realizing, I can handle this. That trust becomes unshakable, because once you've survived enough storms, you stop fearing rain. You know it will pass. You know you'll heal. You know you've built the kind of strength that doesn't disappear, and that strength changes how you move through life. Suddenly, small things stop bothering you. You stop reacting to every little discomfort. You start focusing only on what truly matters. That's the calm of a resilient mind, unbothered by noise, focused on peace. To build that mindset, you need discipline. Discipline to stay consistent when it's hard. Discipline to show up even when you don't feel like it. Because consistency creates confidence, and confidence creates calm. Resilience also requires rest. You can't be strong if you're burned out. You need moments of stillness to rebuild. Rest is not weakness, it's maintenance. Strong people know when to pause. They know when to recharge. They understand that recovery is part of progress. The mind heals in silence. The heart heals in patience. That's how resilience becomes permanent, through balance, not burnout. You also build resilience through perspective. When you zoom out, you see that most pain isn't permanent. What feels unbearable today often becomes your lesson tomorrow. Every challenge eventually ends, but what it teaches you stays. That's why you can't give up too early. The pain you avoid today might be the very experience you need tomorrow. When you stay, you grow. When you hold on a little longer, you gain strength most people never find. Mental resilience isn't about never falling. It's about always returning, stronger, smarter, softer inside, but sharper in spirit. It's about learning to trust time. Time doesn't heal all wounds by itself. It heals the wounds you allow it to teach. And that teaching process transforms you. When you stop seeing pain as punishment, you start using it as power. Resilient people know this. The worst things that happened to them often became the best things for them, because it shaped who they became after. You build that wisdom only through endurance, through choosing peace in pressure and patience in pain. The real power of resilience is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need attention. It just keeps going. No matter what happens, you keep moving. Maybe slower, maybe softer, but still forward. And one day, you'll look back and realize you didn't just survive, you evolved. You became the kind of person who doesn't break easily anymore. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And that, brother, is the ultimate freedom, to live in a world full of chaos and still stay calm within yourself. That's what resilience truly is. Inner peace that can't be shaken by outer storms. So keep standing, keep breathing, keep believing, because no matter how heavy life gets, you have survived every single day so far. That's not luck, that's strength. And that strength will take you further than fear ever could. Chapter 8. The power of adaptability. Change is the only constant. Everything around you shifts. People, places, plans, and even purpose. And the ones who survive aren't the strongest. They're the most adaptable. Adaptability is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's the ability to stay centered, even when everything else is moving. When you learn to adapt, you stop fearing change. You start flowing with it. Because life will not always go your way. Sometimes it will push you in directions you never planned. but every direction teaches you something you needed to learn. Adaptability is seeing that lesson faster. Rigid minds break under pressure. Flexible minds bend and rebuild. The key to solution-focused living is not control, it's adjustment. When you can adjust your attitude, you can change your outcome. Adaptability is emotional agility. It's the ability to think clearly when circumstances suddenly shift. You don't panic. You pause. You don't resist. You realign. And that pause, that small space between reaction and response, that's where your power lives. Most people exhaust themselves trying to control what they can't. They hold on too tightly to what's gone. They try to fix what's already moved on. But life doesn't reward control. It rewards awareness. Adaptability starts when you stop fighting reality. When you stop asking, why is this happening? And start saying, how can I make this work? That question changes everything. Because change isn't the enemy, your resistance to it is. When you learn to flow with change, you find peace even in uncertainty. Adaptability is what makes growth sustainable. Because success is never static. It evolves. It requires you to evolve with it. Look at nature. Every living thing that survives does so because it adapts. Seasons shift. Landscapes transform. Animals evolve. And still, life continues, not through strength, but through flexibility. The same principle applies to your life. If you refuse to adapt, you limit yourself to what you already know. But when you stay open, you invite transformation. You discover new versions of yourself. You see that change doesn't destroy you, it redesigns you. The adaptable mind says, this wasn't part of my plan, but maybe it's part of my purpose. And in that sentence, you find peace, because adaptation is acceptance in motion. You're not giving up, you're growing up. The truth is, you'll never have control over everything, but you can always control your flexibility. The more adaptable you become, the faster you recover. The faster you recover, the more unstoppable you become. When something shifts, a job, a relationship, a dream, don't panic. Pivot. Pivoting doesn't mean failure. It means awareness. It means you're choosing movement over misery. It means you've learned that progress sometimes wears the mask of change. Adaptability also demands humility. You must be willing to say, I was wrong, I didn't know, or I need to try something new. That kind of honesty isn't weakness, it's strength. Because every time you humble yourself to learn, you rise higher than before. The people who thrive are not the ones who always get it right, but the ones who adjust when they don't. Adaptability is a mindset of curiosity. Instead of saying, this is a problem, you ask, what can this teach me? Curiosity keeps your mind open when fear wants to close it. Fear says, what if this ruins everything? Curiosity says, what if this creates something better? The question you ask shapes the reality you live in. Adaptability is not about changing your values. It's about changing your strategies. Your core remains. Your methods evolve. It's like sailing. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. When the direction changes, you don't abandon the journey. You realign your route. That's how life works. That's how growth happens. An adaptable person doesn't see setbacks as the end. They see them as redirections. If a door closes, they don't stand knocking forever. They look for another way in. They build their own door if they have to. That's what makes them unstoppable. Their refusal to be limited by circumstances. Adaptability turns pressure into potential. It takes chaos and turns it into clarity. Every change you face is secretly an invitation to upgrade your mindset. You learn to let go faster. You learn to focus better. You learn to evolve deeper. And that evolution keeps you alive inside, because nothing ages the mind faster than rigidity. The moment you stop adapting, you stop growing. Adaptability is the art of staying young in spirit, curious, open, alive. It allows you to keep learning, keep improving, keep becoming. And when you master it, you stop fearing the unknown. Because you know, no matter what happens, you'll find your way. That's the ultimate confidence, trusting yourself in motion. Adaptability doesn't eliminate difficulty. It gives you the strength to handle it differently. You might still face storms, but you'll learn how to dance in the rain. You'll stop clinging to what was and start creating what can be. You'll realize that flexibility doesn't mean losing yourself. It means finding new versions of yourself, and every version will be wiser, calmer, stronger. So when life changes suddenly, don't resist. Respond. Take a breath. Observe. Adjust. Say to yourself, this moment is not against me. It's guiding me. That single belief will save you years of stress. Because adaptable minds don't break. They bend. They reshape. They rebuild. And every time they do, they come back better. That's how you turn uncertainty into opportunity. That's how you transform fear into flow. That's the power of adaptability. It doesn't promise control, but it guarantees survival. And not just survival. Success that lasts, peace that stays, and growth that never ends. Chapter 9. Finding Strength in Uncertainty. Uncertainty is part of life. No matter how much you plan, no matter how careful you are, the future will always carry surprises. And that's what scares most people. Not what they know, but what they don't. The unknown feels heavy. It feels endless. It feels like standing on the edge of something you can't see. But uncertainty isn't the enemy. It's the birthplace of every breakthrough, every new path, every dream, every discovery you've ever had started from a place of not knowing what would happen next. Uncertainty doesn't destroy you. Fear does. And fear is born when you forget that you've faced the unknown before and survived. Every time you didn't know what to do and still found a way, that was strength. That strength didn't vanish. It's still inside you, but you only feel it when you stop trying to control everything and start trusting yourself again. The mind craves control. It wants plans, certainty, direction. But life doesn't work on your schedule. Sometimes things break, doors close, people leave, and all your plans collapse. In that silence, you discover who you really are. Uncertainty strips away comfort, but it reveals character. It teaches you to trust the process, to walk without answers, to breathe even when the road disappears. That's strength. Not knowing what's next, but moving forward anyway. The truth is, you don't need to see the whole path. You just need to trust your next step. Because clarity doesn't come before courage. It comes after. The strongest people aren't those who know everything. They're the ones who keep going even when they don't. They've learned how to stay calm in chaos, how to find meaning in confusion, and how to focus on progress, not perfection. Uncertainty becomes unbearable only when you fight it. When you resist, you suffer twice, first from what's happening, and then from your refusal to accept it. But when you let go, when you breathe and say, "This too is part of my journey," something inside you softens. The fear fades. The peace returns. That's when you remember. You've always survived the unknown. Always. You made it through heartbreak. You made it through doubt. You made it through days you thought would never end. And now you're here. Still standing. Still growing. That's proof enough that you can handle uncertainty again. Strength isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to keep moving in spite of it. When everything feels uncertain, focus on what's certain inside you. Your effort, your discipline, your ability to adapt. Those are your anchors. Even in the middle of confusion, you can control how you show up. You can control your focus. You can control your peace. And that's all you need. Because uncertainty doesn't mean failure. It means possibility. It means there are outcomes you haven't seen yet, paths you haven't walked yet, versions of yourself you haven't met yet. Uncertainty means growth is still available. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones who never face uncertainty. They're the ones who face it with faith. faith, not in luck, but in themselves. They believe that no matter what happens, they'll figure it out. And they do, because belief gives birth to action. When you stop wasting energy on what might go wrong, you start focusing on what you can make right. You find stability in motion. You realize that you don't need all the answers. You just need the courage to take one more step forward. That's how progress happens, not by knowing everything, but by trusting yourself enough to begin. Uncertainty also teaches humility. It reminds you that you're not in control of the world. You're only in control of how you respond to it. When you accept that truth, you stop fighting reality. You stop trying to force the river. You learn to flow with it instead. That flow becomes freedom. Because peace doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. Not the kind of surrender that gives up, but the kind that gives in to growth. When you stop fearing what you can't predict, you start focusing on what you can create. You see opportunities inside uncertainty that others miss because they're too busy worrying. Uncertainty also builds creativity. When the old way stops working, you're forced to find a new way. That's where innovation lives. In discomfort, in confusion, in the unknown. Some of the greatest ideas in history were born from people standing in uncertainty and refusing to stop there. They turned "I don't know" into "I'll find out," and that shift changed everything. You can do the same. When life feels unpredictable, don't freeze. Stay flexible. Stay curious. Curiosity opens doors. Fear locks them. Every time you choose curiosity, you move closer to clarity. Because clarity grows from exploration, not expectation. The more you explore, the more you understand. And the more you understand, the calmer you become. You realize that uncertainty doesn't last forever. It just lasts until you adapt. And you will adapt, because that's what humans do. We're built to survive, to learn, to rebuild, to rise. Uncertainty doesn't break strong people. It reveals them. You can't avoid every storm, but you can learn how to stand in the rain without losing your fire. You can learn to trust your timing, to believe that what's unclear now will make perfect sense later, because it always does. When you look back, you'll see how every unknown led to something you needed. Every delay was protection. Every detour was direction. You were being guided all along. You just couldn't see it yet. So next time life feels uncertain, don't panic. Pause. Take a breath. Remember who you are. You've faced the unknown before. You'll face it again. And every time, you'll come out stronger, wiser, and more unshakable. Because that's what strength really is. Not knowing everything, but trusting that you can handle anything. Uncertainty may shake your plans, but it can never shake your purpose. Hold on to that. Let it ground you. Let it remind you that storms pass, but strength stays. And once you've learned to find peace in the unknown, you'll realize there is nothing left to fear. Chapter 10. Living a solution-focused life. A solution-focused life is not about perfection. It's about direction. It's about choosing peace over panic, clarity over confusion, and purpose over problems. Every single day. You don't need a perfect life to feel fulfilled. You just need a focused mind. Because problems will never disappear. They will only change form. The real skill is learning how to stay calm in every form they take. That's what a solution-focused life is. Not the absence of struggle, but the presence of strategy. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intentionally. You stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "What now?" You stop wishing for easy and start becoming stronger. This mindset transforms ordinary days into powerful lessons. It makes even the smallest progress meaningful. Because when your focus stays on growth, life starts opening doors you never knew existed. Living a solution-focused life doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you don't live there. You feel it, you face it, and then you find a way through it. That's maturity, not running away from discomfort, but walking through it with wisdom. Every day gives you two options. You can complain, or you can correct. One drains your energy, the other builds your future. The choice is always yours. People who live with this mindset don't wait for motivation. They live by discipline. They wake up knowing that life will test them. But they also know that every test comes with a lesson, and every lesson brings transformation. That's the rhythm of a solution-focused life. It's not always glamorous. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes lonely, but it's always powerful. Because when you choose to think forward, you stop being a prisoner of the past. You start seeing challenges as teachers, not threats. You begin to trust your ability to handle things, not because life got easier, but because you got smarter. That's the peace that comes with progress. You realize that your power doesn't lie in controlling outcomes. It lies in controlling your outlook. No matter what happens, you can decide what it means. You can turn loss into learning. You can turn pain into perspective. You can turn fear into fuel. That's not luck. That's leadership of the mind. A solution-focused life starts in the small things, the little decisions you make when no one is watching, the moments you stay calm when others lose control, the words you choose when frustration hits. Every calm response rewires your brain. Every patient moment strengthens your spirit. Every good intention adds peace to your day. And over time, you start noticing something powerful. Life feels lighter, even though nothing outside has changed. Because the change happened inside. Your focus became your freedom. You stopped feeding fear and started feeding faith. You stopped chasing control and started embracing clarity. And slowly, your inner world became unshakable. A solution-focused life also means giving grace to yourself and to others. You won't always respond perfectly. You'll slip. You'll overthink. You'll react sometimes. That's okay. Growth isn't linear. It's layered. The key is awareness. When you notice your old habits returning, you don't judge yourself. You redirect yourself. You remind your mind, we don't live there anymore. That's how evolution happens. Quietly, patiently, persistently. Every time you bring your focus back to peace, you build your strength a little more. Living a solution-focused life also means valuing progress over perfection. You stop trying to be flawless and start trying to be consistent. Perfection is an illusion. Consistency is transformation. One keeps you stuck. The other keeps you growing. When you choose consistency, you stop worrying about how far you have to go. You focus on how far you've already come, and that gratitude fuels everything. Because gratitude is the foundation of all solution-focused living. It keeps your energy pure, your perspective calm, and your heart steady. When you start seeing blessings in problems, you become unstoppable. You start realizing that even the difficult moments were shaping something beautiful inside you. That realization changes how you walk through life. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You start trusting that everything that happens, good or bad, has a reason, a rhythm, a reward. When you live this way, you no longer depend on circumstances for peace. Peace becomes your natural state. You no longer seek happiness from the world. You create it from within. That's what true success feels like. Quiet, grounded. Living a solution-focused life also means leading by example. You become the calm in the room, the one who listens before reacting, the one who lifts others instead of blaming them. Your presence becomes a mirror. It shows others that peace is possible. You don't have to preach it. You live it. And when you live it, people feel it. They start to trust you, not because you have all the answers, but because you carry clarity in your energy. That's the influence of a solution-focused person. They don't talk louder. They think clearer. They don't chase control. They practice awareness. And that awareness spreads. When you live from solutions, you naturally make the people around you stronger. Because peace is contagious. A focus is magnetic. And calmness is power. That's how you change environments. Not by force, but by example. A solution-focused life is not a destination. It's a daily choice. It's waking up each morning and deciding, I'll respond, not react. I'll learn, not complain. I'll move forward, not give up. That's how ordinary days turn into extraordinary growth. And when you look back, you'll realize something simple but profound. It was never about eliminating problems. It was always about elevating perspective. You were never meant to live a perfect life. You were meant to live a powerful one. A life built on clarity, peace, and purpose. A life guided by awareness instead of fear. A life that focuses on what can be done, not on what went wrong. That's what it means to live solution-focused. It's not a method. It's a mindset. It's not a moment. It's a way of being. And once you live this way, you'll never want to go back. Because life feels lighter, work feels meaningful, and even the challenges feel purposeful. That's the gift of focus. It doesn't remove the storm. It teaches you how to stand in it, calm, clear, and confident. That's the art of living a solution-focused life. And once you master it, you realize the truth. You don't need a perfect life to feel powerful. You just need the right focus.